Think about what we are able to do. Lead with problem-solving content, might as well, instead of just putting a logo behind that specific content. Oh, crap. Video number 3 didn't work.
Once again, here we go. Know the name on the flow. Turn me up a little more.
Welcome to the second part of the high-end client acquisition machine training. This one is huge because now we're going to identify who are the big players, who are the influencers in your own industry, right? So in the previous lesson, and if you haven't watched that, click somewhere below this video and go watch it, because if you didn't watch that one, this one, it won't make that much sense, right? But let's see exactly what do I mean. So step 1, identifying at least 5 of your biggest competitors, right? When I say at least, I would highly recommend between 5 to 10. But at the beginning, if it's hard for you to understand who are the big players in the game, you can start with 5. So for example, the way that I do this is, let me divide, and sorry for my handwriting, you'll be able to download some nice PDFs with everything that we talked in here, but I'm a big believer into the visual part, so that's why I like to draw on the board. So the way that I do it is every time I think, all right, let's see where my audience is, right? In my scenario, the first 5 big competitors that I can think of are, let's say, Lewis House. So even though you may say, well, Marian, those are huge names. Exactly. Think about what we are able to do. So we are able to take the content that we've created in part 1. Now we identify who are the biggest players in the game. And now we're going to put our content in front of their audiences. So this is huge. Think about this. All these guys spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, building their audiences for years. And now we are able to put our content in front of their audience, right? Like oftentimes when we talk to clients, they say, well, what I do is so unique, Marian. I don't know if I have competitors. Well, you need to stop for a second and take a step back, because that's not necessarily a good thing. A good thing would mean that other influencers, your competitors, they have already proven the model and people are willing to spend money on the things that you are about to offer. Therefore, you can have a piece of that. You can just go in there, hack what they do, make your offer better, and all of a sudden, boom, you can just literally just steal clients, right? Now, I know it may sound easier than it is to implement, but essentially that's the big picture. Competition is not bad. Competition is very good, because as long as you're good at hacking that, not copying, hacking, and just make it better, make your process better, make the customer journey better, make the offer way more appealing than what they do. Be more engaged with your audience because you can, because you're smaller and they're big and now they can control at that level. So there are advantages. You just need to see them and literally, learn how to take advantage of those benefits, right? So think about in your scenario, right? Like if you're a health coach, who is the number one competitor? Is it Thomas DeLauer? Is it Weight Watchers? Is it, think about, if you don't know names of actual people, personal brands, go after shows. Like in my scenario, it could be the Entrepreneur magazine, right? Like it can be people that follow Infusionsoft or people that follow ClickFunnels page, right? Like depending how big their audience is, you can identify competitors. Now again, if ideally you'll want to do this from a personal brand standpoint, because if you lead with problem-solving content, might as well, instead of just putting a logo behind that specific content, you will put it behind your personal brand. Therefore, people will just look at you as the influencer. And then we'll talk in day 3 about how you actually become the influencer. But now it's very important to identify who are the big influencers in the game. And now you can just put your content in front of them, right? Like, for example, some of the audiences of these people will work better than others, right? Like, for example, you'll pick one audience and you'll show them separate videos of the ones that you created already. So, like I said, my handwriting is awful, so don't pay attention to that. Remember, in step one, you picked the problem that you're solving. Now, don't pay attention to just 3, because it can be 3 or 4. I would say start between 3 to 5 pieces of content. Don't go above that, because you'll feel overwhelmed with testing all of these things. So, like I said, below this video, you'll be able to actually download a PDF that looks nicely, and you can actually, implement the things and write. You can print it out and then write on them. So it's very important to understand the strategy behind it, right? Like, you'll have problem number 1, problem number 2, and problem number 3. Now remember that I said make sure that even though you solve 3 different problems, they should be focused around the big picture issue and the big picture problem that you actually solve for your clients. So by doing this, now you put your content in front of your competitors. So again, pick shows, right? Pick other coaches that do this. Pick other speakers. If you literally don't know anybody on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube that does what you do, the next step is go on Amazon and search for authors. Then go to that author's name and then go on YouTube and Facebook or their website and see. If they don't have an audience, it means they're not that big. That's not necessarily a competitor. Like, you want to go, because it's so much easier to test your content around people that you think or you aspire to be like, right? And of course, I could go on and on and on. It can be Grant Cardone, Amy Porterfield, Marie Forleo. Like, I can go, any kind of age bracket type of audience. Tai Lopez, right? Like, it's a lot of them that I could go after. So if you really do those 3 pieces of content, you put it in front of these people, and you realize that, oh, I ran out of content and I ran out of audiences, trust me, you haven't. As soon as you target one of these, Facebook is going to tell you, you could also target this person. You should consider target this, this, and that. So it'll tell you more. But it's very important from a technical standpoint, your content should be put in front of these guys as ad sets. So every person, every influencer becomes an audience. When you put this audience in a bucket, you will show, so for example, let's pick one, Lewis Howes, right? Like, we'll pick audience number 1, Lewis Howes. You will show problem number 1 video, problem number 2, and problem number 3. Now, the way you do this is from your own personal brand page, you target Lewis Howes audience. And of course, in your scenario, it would be your competitor. But you get the point, right? And the same thing happens with everybody, right? Like, you test 1, all right, cool. Then you'll do audience 2, Gary Vee. Audience 3, you show them those videos, but you show them in separate ads. And the reason for that is you'll understand based on metrics who is the audience that resonates the most with your content. And the way to do that is, of course, you'll get like 0.001 cost per view. You'll get 0.03. You look at the numbers, at the metrics at the end of your campaign, and you'll see, oh, crap, video number 3 didn't work. That's okay. You just pause the campaign. Video number 2, it did work, but it's still, so you can say, all right, I'm gonna test maybe another 5 days or another week. But video number 1, oh my God, 0.001, that's a winner, right? I wanna keep showing this video to Lewis Howes' audience or Gary Vee's audience, right? Depending which one it is. So just think about, after you keep showing content to, and you can test this for literally, it's $1 per day. And first time when I heard this was from a mentor of mine at a workshop in California, because I was testing different budgets, right? Like everything from $5 to $10 a day per audience and more. But this model works way better because you can now test so many different audiences and different pieces of content and see which one resonates the best with your audience. And now you can just pick the winners by looking at the metrics. Like, you let the data tell you which one works best, and based on that, you move forward. You're not just guessing. You're not just putting, gas on a fire that it's already gone. You're not trying, it's very important to look at the metrics and understand, because Facebook and Instagram and YouTube will all tell you, keep promoting this one because this one works. Like, you literally just look at the numbers and understand, like, oh crap, I don't want to do this anymore because this is so expensive. Like 0.4, like it's definitely, this video doesn't like Gary Vee's audience, it seems that they hate this. If you want to see the same blueprint that generated more than 7 figures in my own business and that my private clients are using every day to get insane results, you can get access to it for free, and the link is right in the description below. So after you test it with all of them, let's say you pick at the beginning 5 with just 3 pieces of content, you'll understand, oh, okay, so it seems that Lewis Howes' audience work best with video number 1. Brendon Burchard's audience works best with video number 2. And Tony Robbins' audience works awesome with video number 3. The rest don't work well. It seems that all the costs are too high. All right, perfect. Now we know. Now what we're going to do is we'll have to remove completely or pause the ones that don't work. So now what you're gonna do is you continue to focus on the ones that actually do. You see what I just did? I removed the entire guesswork. So just so you know what it was in here, problem 2 and problem 3. Now you're going to keep the videos that showed the best engagement, and you're just going to promote it to the audiences that showed, all right, this is what we want. This is what the audience likes, right? So we'll explain in detail what are we going to do with these audiences in section 3, in part 3 of the training. But it's very important for you to understand that here, now is the time for you to take it to a whole new level. So now you have buckets of audiences that consumed your content. We'll talk in session 3, in part number 3, what exactly is going to happen here. But now you have all of these super engaged audiences because they showed you exactly, all right, the way that you explain how to fix my problem number 1 is Lewis Howes' audience, right? Like in your scenario, audience number 1. Brendon Burchard audience said, well, the way you solve problem number 2 is super interesting. And then Tony Robbins' audience said, well, problem number 3 is actually making so much sense to me because whatever the age bracket or something, right? So now you keep going to promote this, and what's going to happen in step 3 is going to completely change the game on how you now invite people to learn more about you. All right, so make sure you stick around for part 3, but before we leave, make sure you let a comment below and let me know what's your aha moment out of this. What do you feel now? What are you implemented so far through this method? Or if you've never done it, what is the number 1 thing that you're going to work on right now? I'm super pumped to hear that, and I'm super pumped to meet you in part 3 because that's going to change the game. I'll talk to you in just a bit. Yo, don't go anywhere. Hit these 2 other videos because I'm going to have so much more information to share with you, and I'm pretty sure you can get some cool, valuable, and actionable steps. So just click one of these 2 and I'll see you on the other side. Take care.